Well, hello everybody. It's been a while. I'm back again. I really didn't go anywhere. I've just been building my Helicycle, and because I suck at making videos and don't really find or make time to do it, I just really haven't made them. But I'm making this one because I do get people asking me, "Hey man, what's going on?" And I always try to explain to them, but I recognize that a picture's worth 1,000 words. Anyway, all right, this video is going to show you my electronics. It's going to show you my dash, deep explanations on a lot of stuff that I've done. It might bore you to tears because it's not really exciting, but it is informative. I mean, I have done a lot to this thing. So just kind of follow along, see what you think, and it'll bring you up to date on everything I'm doing. And I think if you ask me, and I do get this question, how much longer, I believe I'll have this thing wrapped up as much as I can do to it by the end of the summer or very early fall. I should be able to start turning this over to for its checkout. So let's see if that holds true. But right now, boy, I've got a lot of it done, and I'll let you take a look at it here. We'll start with the electrical. I have finally got this completed, which includes, roughing it out, getting it in the instrument pod, and then ultimately getting it to where when you bolt it in, you can get to a moment where when you bolt it in, that's where it's going to be. And I'm there, which is good. So just explaining this, again, this is my transponder here. This is the red line gauge. It counts the turbine RPMs. These switches here engage various processes in the engine startup, fuel pump, and governor, and then of course the main fuel solenoid and the alternator. So I have an active switch here, or rather, I'm sorry, an active light that when the start circuits are completely on, that light will be on that lets me know I'm good. It's just a check light. Coming down is this flight timer. The flight timer allows, it's just what it says it is, but it allows me to also sync up what we can know about the duration of the flight and fuel consumption, because time is energy, right? Time is fuel. So I have on the upper portion of the dash pod a light that comes on that will indicate to me if I've set it to fly a half hour and the light come on, it'll indicate to me that I have flown for a half hour. It just gives me a signal there, and in my brain I can know that, well, that's so much gas or fuel rather that I've consumed. Anyway, here's a strobe switch. I have a strobe under the cabin and one mid-frame on the airframe. The one that's mid-frame is a red strobe, and it's kind of a micro light, although I'm going to try to get a different one from my buddy James Kent. I just recently bought some navigational beacon lights from James, but here's the beacons. So you get in here, you want to get that going, whatever. There they are. Now over here you also have your clutch lights that'll tell you, hey, the rotor's fully engaged at the green, it's fully disengaged at the red. I think this is all typical stuff. I have a main power on type of light, so when the main power's on, boom, I have a green light, and it lets me know that we're good on that circuit. And then of course down here are your breakers, the ones that relate to various functions within this scheme here. So on the back of this thing though, like I said, this is finished. You can see it's pretty busy back here, but that's all right. I have come in for the sake of simplicity and ease of tracking and labeled all of these connectors as to what they are. This one is lower to upper, right? This connects my lower pod to my upper pod. The transponder connector here, which feeds back down to the actual transponder unit. But anyway, along the way, everything is labeled such that when this comes back out, surprisingly, you will kind of forget some of the things you did, but this helps to readily identify things that are on this back panel. My light dimmer switches, various connectors, and so on, and all of this, of course, is synced back in to the wiring and everything and the switching and all that, and it works really, really well. So for me, the main power comes in the bottom here. These wires, this set of wires here is coming off of your alternator, or in my case a stator, brings power from the stator up into a breaker and then back out, and goes back out to recharge the battery. I won't go through all of them, but even the wires are labeled with heat shrink labels. And this way, because I do have schematics on this stuff. As I was building it, it may have changed some, but the key to this is if I need to track down something, a wire from its point, say, from here, I can look at what wire I'm looking at here, engine tack. Well, I know that's going to go to the engine tack. I can look at ground wires, same way. Whatever they are, I know where they go based on what the wire label is, and they're labeled at the other ends as well. So if I'm trying to trace down the radio wire here, I can go back to my radio harness and find that exact wire just by the label. I don't have to try to trace it down on a schematic. So that's the lower panel in a nutshell, and it's taken me quite a while to get this to where I feel good about it, and where everything is stable. I've had it in and out of the helicopter I don't know how many times, but everything's really stable. And now I'll explain the upper pod, or the upper instruments. All right, let's talk about the upper panel here. This, of course, is all of your flight instruments that you're going to have to be able to know what the heck you're doing. Probably the one that is really nice, I really like, and I think all the Helicycle guys like them, are these dual tack engine and rotor gauges, and these guys work out in percentages. So once your engine fires up, this will help you in the start sequence with the engine startup. Once you're up to around this 30% mark, you can let off the starter. It'll continue to spool up to about 50. At this mark, you can let off your start fuel, after which this thing will then spin way up here to, there's a yellow mark. I don't know how well you can see it, but that yellow, it idles at 80%. Of course, once you get your rotor engaged, that rotor is going to get up to that same 80%. And then when you pull the power to get going, the rotor and the engine will come on up into this 100 or 100, 101, 102% range for flight operation. Really important gauge, and mine has been synced and tested and everything with not only the RPM system with the Red Lion, but also with the the counter for the rotor tack, the rotor part of it. That's all working. What's working about it is specifically at certain, as this goes up, as this rotor goes up and it gets into a certain position, if you get a low rotor speed, this light will come on. If you get a high rotor speed, this light will come on. So all of that has to be kind of worked up. And I had a guy up in Cincinnati, Jay at Hangar 36, who's super duper guy. I think everybody that talks to Jay just, you want to be friends with him. He's a great guy. So thank you, Jay. But anyway, that's sort of part of that system. This is just airspeed, right? I've been told Helicycles cruise around 90, 95. Every time I'm in the R22, I don't know that I've ever been above 80 knots in it, but maybe here and there. We always tend to stay in this range. And of course, this helicopter is more powerful than the R-22 and will get you moving pretty fast, I think. Down here are your engine gauges. This one being engine oil pressure. That one you're going to want to see it come up right away when that thing hits. And this one is engine oil temperature. Of course, it'll come up slowly. Then you have your transmission oil temperature, and it'll come up slowly. Over here is your exhaust temperature, and it'll come up pretty quick. This is the one you want to watch. So those are all great gauges. Over here is my vertical, and this will tell you, how fast you're going up or down. That's critical for a lot of reasons. This right here is a digital instrument that is a compass, and it's been marginally calibrated while on the ground. I do get pretty good readings for it, but there's a calibration process for this in flight that I still need to do. But nice little, if I want to stay on a heading, I can kind of, it's got some nice little things. But this can also be used if you buy the stuff and spend the money. It'll give you that sort of horizontal plane indicator, where you can see if you're in a horizontal position or nose up, nose down, whatever. This is the MGL Razor radio. This is a 10 volt system, 50 ohm antenna and all that kind of thing. But the beauty of this is it's dual channel, of course, but it's all touch screen. I can do that. Now I don't really want to sit around touching this thing while I'm flying. If I don't have to, I can also dial something up. And the beauty is this has room for about 100 presets. So if you're flying in and out of areas pretty frequently, airports, whatever, on my cyclic grip, I can flip the channels using a button, or I can select a different airport channel, whatever, ATIS or something like that, and I don't ever really have to touch this. I can just do it with the cyclic grip. I think that's a nice feature on this. That way, if I'm coming in or want to get into an airport somewhere, I can probably find it and select it and know what I'm doing here. This right here is another digital meter. It is a fuel flow meter, and this I had to get it. It was a process getting this calibrated, and I think it's accurate. I don't exactly know how accurate it is yet, but I think I tested it just sort of doing my own thing with it, and if it's telling you it's given you a couple of gallons per hour, it's a per hour range. So you can do some math. You can figure out, well, how much is that? Say if I want to test it for a few minutes, and mine seemed to lock in pretty good. So I hope that's true. Hope that stays true. Of course, over here is your altimeter, and this one is got a digital readout here. Most of these have those little bitty tiny tick marks for your mercury and all that, and I have to wear glasses to see in this range. So I thought, man, there's got to be a better way. Well, this has a nice, well lit digital readout right here, and it reads out in kind of a orangish type of color. But I can look at that thing and see it, and then if I want to change it, then I'm not over here trying to dial in this little bitty number I can't see. I can just hit this button, it'll take it up, or hit another button, take it down, and you know, boom, boom, boom. You can get it right in the range that you want to be in. It's much easier than messing around. The only thing that sucks about it really is you do have to, which is true either way, if you're flying the R-22 or something else, you know, you still have to let go of something to correct the reading. So I have to let go. In this case, I'll reach over, either hold the cyclic in between my legs if I can, or come around and let go of the collective and change it. I don't know how critical that really is going to be for me. I don't know. Having said that, this is the gauge system itself. I'll turn it around and show you the back. Well, the back of this thing is what you'd probably expect to see. The gauges and what they are and where they are, and because when you turn it around, now you have the inverse of what the front view was. Again, I've labeled everything on here just for ease of identifying something, that if I'm down here doing something, I think, oh man, I'm working on my compass, but really I'm working on the fuel flow. I don't want to be in that position, but so everything's labeled. I've got, just to clean it up a little bit, some of this temperature type of heat resistant. It's not necessary. I just wanted to kind of do something in here to get these wires covered up and kind of help clean this up a little bit, which I like that. But this is very tight back here. It's very functional, easy to work on if you needed to, easy to track stuff. Everything has its place, and here, you know, the pitot tubes labeled, the statics labeled. You can get a quick read on things if once you're plugging things in. The cables themselves, some of these will stay on there, but as you can see, I have this kind of thing, these cables identified so that I know what I'm looking at, because believe it or not, you can get turned around on these things. This goes to the lower port panel, and if I was looking at it in the opposite, I'd know this was the upper, and so on. This right here, I know this cable is going to lead me out to the fuel flow and the compass. So these two things are kind of married together. They're the only two digital gauges really I have. So, and then my radio wiring harness. So these things here can come together to this upper thing will go in the pod like it is here. I have a wire in the pod, a harness in the pod connected here. Feed this one in, get it in place. All of the wires that are necessary to hook back into things, the lower panel, or back into other, like the magnometer or magnetometer. I don't know if I ever get that right. Is all here, man. It's easy. It should just, and it does. I've had it in and out a bunch, and it'll go right in and clip in, and all of these connectors, which are the Dutch connectors, they all lock, and they have water. They're seal types of connectors. You know, they have the rubber portions here and so on. I don't really expect these to take on moisture. Maybe they will. I can't imagine why. Mine's in a hanger, so, and I ain't flying in the rain. So having said that, these things are really good. They lock in, they seal, and they do great. So the next thing I'll show you then is my side panel.